Karen tried to crush my little girl's dream house with a $1,300 fine, calling it illegal architecture, but I stood up in that meeting and turned their rules against them. What happened next shocked the whole neighborhood, and it wasn't the ending the HOA expected as I told them rules don't crush joy. The fine slipped from Darla Pencom's clipboard like a threat, bold print screaming $1,300. My daughter Marigold clutched her pink Playhouse door, knuckles white, eyes shaking. Before we continue, please drop a like and comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Australia, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. Neighbors gathered along Larkspur Bend, whispering like leaves. Darla's voice rang across our backyard, unapproved architecture. She said the words slowly, like medicine I needed to swallow. The playhouse was small, tidy, with heart-shaped windows. Marigold had painted tiny stars under the roofline herself. Decades later, I still see that sparkle when storms arrive. I stood between Darla and the house, smelling cut grass and grill smoke. "It's a toy, not a tower," I said. She smiled like a locked gate. Behind her, board member Stanton Rill adjusted his tie. He loved ties. Rules too. He nodded at Darla as if she were reading the weather. Marigold whispered, "Daddy, is my house in trouble?" My chest tightened. I crouched, met her eyes. "Your house is brave." Darla cleared her throat. The crowd hushed. "You have 10 days to remove it," she announced, pen ticking the air. "Or the fines escalate." A few neighbors clapped, unsure why their hands obeyed. The playhouse light flickered, battery-operated lantern, warm as cake. It made Darla's paper look thin. Stanton checked his watch, like sun position decided our guilt. I took the paper and felt the heat climb my neck. Somewhere a dog barked twice, like a gavel. 10 days to tear down a dream. I folded the fine, slid it into my pocket, and smiled at Darla. "You'll want to keep your evenings free." Her grin slipped, just a breath. Years earlier, back when 417 Larkspur Bend felt bigger, Marigold drew a house on a napkin. Pink roof, heart windows, a tiny mailbox for her secrets. I kept that napkin in my wallet, between a laundromat receipt and a photo of her first missing tooth. It felt like directions through fog. In August, she turned 7. Money was thin, like paint stretched across a fence. I took extra hours at Weldon's Hardware, hauling lumber and counting my minutes. At night, I sketched and measured. The yard hosted fireflies while I whispered, "Roof pitch, 30 degrees. Floor, cedar slats." Marigold dreamed behind the screen door. On sale days, I bought offcuts nobody wanted. I sanded them smooth until they shone like river stones. Tools clicked softly. Hope pulled my shoulders straighter. My sister, Vesper, stopped by with iced tea. "You need help?" she asked. "Only if you can hold a ladder and a secret," I said, smiling. She could. We built in quiet bursts, before sunrise and after bedtime. Neighbors noticed, but they knew my hours, my stubbornness, my girl. The day we raised the little walls, Marigold watched from the porch steps, bare feet swinging, mouth open. When she saw the heart window, tears appeared fast. I told her, "This is a promise made of wood." She traced the frame, whispering, "My house." The yard held its breath, then breathed out stars. We painted it pink together. Each brushstroke felt like telling time to slow down. If joy has a sound, it is bristles whispering against wood. The first letter arrived in a beige envelope, addressed to occupant, which always sounds like a warning. Inside, notice of aesthetic review, meeting requested, tone polite. I called the HOA desk. A young voice said, "You'll need to meet our architectural committee." The words felt too big for a child's pink door. We scheduled Thursday, 7 p.m., room smelling like carpet cleaner and coffee gone cold. I brought pictures, measurements, and Marigold's napkin drawing, folded into fourths. Darla Pencom sat at the head, hair sprayed into architecture of its own. Stanton Rill lined up pens by length, as if order made him whole. I explained setbacks, height, materials. It's freestanding, not permanent. A playhouse. Darla smiled. We admire initiative, she said, voice silk hiding a zipper. Then she turned a page. Unfortunately, Section 7.4 defines acceptable structures. Yours lacks prior approval and does not align with approved neighborhood character. My stomach tightened. What is approved character? I asked. Neutral tones, Stanton said, tapping his pen. Beige, stone approved gray. The word approved clanged like a metal lid. I showed the napkin. My daughter designed her dream. I followed her map. Darla glanced. For a heartbeat, softness passed like a bird's shadow. We can consider a variance, she said. But you must repaint, remove the mailbox, and lower the roofline. I pictured Marigold reading letters to pretend friends. I said I'd consider. Outside, crickets chirped like tiny clocks. I looked at the stars and decided I would not paint her dream into someone else's beige. 3 weeks later, a certified letter came, green sticker glinting. Violation, it declared, as if we'd stolen daylight. The number $1,300 sat heavy in the paragraph. Marigold found me at the table, letters spread open. Is the house okay? She asked, hair damp from the sprinkler. I said, it's strong. So are we. I called Vesper. They want the roof shorter, the color dull, the mailbox gone. Silence. Then she said, what if we invite the neighborhood kids to play? We planned a Saturday picnic. Lemonade, chalk drawings, a paper crown for every visitor. The Playhouse door stayed open like a friend's hand. Children arrived laughing. Darla and Stanton showed up, too, smiles like closed umbrellas. You are in violation, Darla said. We will assess daily penalties. Laughter dimmed under her shadow. I handed her a cup of lemonade anyway. Try being a person, Vesper whispered near me, not kindly. Darla didn't drink. Stanton checked his rules again. I invited everyone to sign Marigold's guest book, a spiral notebook with glitter stickers. People wrote sweet messages, quiet rebellions shaped like crayon hearts. A boy asked, can I mail my drawing? He slid it into the tiny mailbox. Marigold clapped. The crowd softened, even Stanton shifted, unsure where to stand. Darla tore a citation sheet and posted it on our fence. 10 days, she said. Wind tugged the paper, like it wanted to take it away. I smiled, but not with my mouth. Inside, a match struck. The sound was small. The light felt like noon. Tomorrow, I'd start reading bylaws aloud. Nights, after Marigold slept, I sat at the kitchen counter with the HOA handbook. The binder smelled like dust and lemons. Section numbers marched like soldiers. Accessory structures, I read, tracing lines with a pencil. Temporary installations, seasonal displays, educational play items, educational play items. I circled that phrase 3 times. I found minutes from old meetings stacked in the library file. 10 years back, a variance for a backyard puppet theater. 6 years back, a themed garden shed. I copied every page that spoke like a door cracked open. I drafted a letter citing educational play item, existing variances, and non-permanent construction under 30 inches. Vesper proofread while eating cold pizza. Good bones, she said. Add pictures of the inside. Show books, blocks, pretend post office. Make it look smart. We turned the Playhouse into a tiny library. Stamped cards, alphabet magnets, a reading lamp shaped like a cloud. Marigold practiced writing letters to future Marigold. Saturday morning, we hosted Reading Hour. Children and parents sat on blankets. I read a story about a brave house. The crowd laughed in the right places. Darla came with a measuring tape, eyes narrow. She measured height, distance from the fence, color charts. Educational, huh? She said. Only if approved. Her pen hovered. I handed her copies of the minutes, highlighted and clipped. Stanton frowned, reading. He didn't frown often. It looked like his face was trying something new. That night, an anonymous note appeared under our door. You're right. Keep going. It was typed, no signature. The match inside me flared brighter, steadier, hotter. On Monday, a woman I barely knew, Lita Corcoran, knocked with a casserole and nerves. I'm on the committee, she whispered. Off the record, I support you. She explained the board's quiet rulebook, unspoken preferences, old alliances, the power of showing up with patient persistence and neighbors who remember your kindness on trash day. Darla believes rules make beauty, Lita said. But she forgets rules should make belonging. She placed a folder on my counter. Public comments time is Thursday. Bring voices. I called parents from reading hour. I visited porches after dinner. People nodded, then nodded harder when I mentioned newsletters and precedent and the soft courage of kids. Marigold made flyers with stars and stickers. Save the pink house. Public meeting Thursday. I stood beside her while she taped them to every mailbox post. Vesper spoke with guts. Tell the story, she said. Not just rules. Make them feel the mailbox, the lantern, the napkin drawing. Then show the law. Thursday arrived. The room was fuller than usual. Kids sat cross-legged, holding library cards. The air carried coffee, copier heat, and the thrum of careful hope. I stepped to the mic, hands steady. This house is a lesson in reading, kindness, and stubborn love. I held up the minutes and the handbook. Darla smiled like a picture frame. We appreciate community interest, she said. However, Lita coughed loudly, surprising herself. Stanton whispered to her. She stared at the ceiling. A door at the back opened. A man I'd never met walked in with a briefcase. Public comments, he said. And a disclosure. The room leaned forward. The man introduced himself. Halden Pike, real estate attorney, father of a shy boy who loved the reading lamp shaped like a cloud. His voice carried calm weight. I reviewed section 7.4, he said, tapping the binder. Educational play items are allowed without pre-approval if temporary and under 30 inches at the foundation. People murmured. Stanton narrowed his eyes. The roof peak exceeds 30 inches. Halden nodded. True. But the foundation is measured at grade. This is on blocks, adjustable, non-permanent. Precedent supports flexibility. He held up photos of the puppet theater and themed shed. Both were approved as community-enhancing. Both influenced property values positively. He paused. I have letters. He read 2 letters from neighbors praising the Playhouse for bringing families together. He placed them gently on the table, like new bricks on old ground. Darla's fingers tightened on her pen. This board cannot be swayed by feelings. Halden smiled. But then be swayed by your own minutes and your precise language. I stepped forward with the napkin drawing. This is the map my daughter made. We followed it with care. It is small, safe, and bright like a welcome. Marigold sat clutching the guest book. She whispered, they can borrow my lantern. The room warmed. Even the humming lights seemed to soften their constant buzz. Darla called a recess, lips thin. Outside, cicadas sang like a crowded choir. Vesper squeezed my shoulder. You're doing it, she said. The rules are blinking. When they returned, Darla cleared her throat. We have decided to deny the variance. Gasps snapped through the room. And then Lita stood up, eyes fierce. I object, Lita said, voice trembling but pointed. The vote wasn't proper. We skipped member comments after recess. That violates our own procedure bylaw, subsection 3. Stanton shuffled pages. We can correct that later. Lita shook her head. We correct it now. Or we admit our process is theater. And not the good kind. Parents lined up at the mic. A plumber named Croy told a story about fixing Darla's drain, refusing payment, then getting cited for a flag holder next week. A nurse named Ember described calming a neighbor's child inside the pink house during a loud thunderstorm. She said the lantern made the room feel brave. Kids spoke next. A boy said, I used the mailbox to send my drawing to future me. A girl said, reading hour makes my tummy feel warm. Darla tried to end public comment. Halden raised a hand. One more, he said, nodding to me. The person who built the house should close this line. I leaned into the mic. Rules are meant to help us live together, not shrink our joy. You are shrinking a child's dream into an invoice. Someone in the back started a quiet clap. It grew like rain. Lita stared at Darla. Call the vote, correctly this time. Stanton swallowed and finally nodded. They voted, Stanton yes to deny, Lida no. 2 members absent, Darla yes. Time meant denial stood. My chest burned. Marigold's fingers tightened around the guest book. As people began to leave, Halden whispered, "We appeal." Darla called after us, 10 days. I turned and said, "Then 10 days is the time we need." We worked those 10 days like they were rope bridges. Halden filed an appeal, Lida gathered signatures, Vesper organized potlucks that turned into strategy sessions. I added learning shelves inside, labeled everything, maps, word blocks, measurement tape. The Playhouse became a classroom. We documented everything with dates and quiet persistence. Neighbors brought items that told stories. A globe with faded oceans, a stack of postcards, a tin bank from 1952. Each thing said, "We were children once." On day 4, a storm rolled through. I watched rain slide off the pink roof, steady and sure. Marigold red inside, lantern glowing like a sunrise. On day 6, a letter from the state surfaced, a statute protecting non-permanent educational play structures from onerous aesthetic control absent safety concerns. Halden smiled like a sunrise. On day 7, anonymous flyers appeared, Darla's House of No. They showed a stick figure swatting a heart window. I didn't print them, but they happened. On day 8, Stanton resigned, for family reasons. We sent a thank you card anyway. Not sarcasm. Maybe kindness could grow somewhere in him, like mint through a crack. On day 9, Lida called. "Emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. Bring your documents. Bring the lantern if you want." Said yes. Marigold packed the guest book. That night I told my daughter, whatever happens, this house taught them something. She fell asleep hugging her crown, as if the future had already arrived. At dawn, we walked to the clubhouse. The hallway smelled like floor wax and new decisions. The door opened. Darla looked tired. Her pen lay still. Halden began. "We request reversal based on process errors, precedent, and state statute." Lida seconded. Darla rubbed her temple, eyes on the cloud-shaped lamp in my hand. I placed the lamp on the table, turned it on. The lights softened the room's corners. "This is what we're trying to protect," I said. "A gentle place." A new board member, Nolene Verge, asked, "Any safety issues?" I offered inspection notes, anchored blocks, rounded edges, child-safe hinges. She nodded slowly, like a song starting. Darla sighed. "We never intended harm," she said, voice thin. "We guard uniformity." Lida answered calmly, "Uniformity without kindness becomes a wall. Kids deserve doors." Halden waited, patient. They voted again, Lida yes to allow, Nolene yes, Darla no. Majority carried. The pink house stood. The room exhaled. My knees felt made of old rope. Marigold whispered, "Did we win?" I nodded. She placed the guest book on the table. "For your records," she said. Darla's mouth twitched, almost a smile. We paid no fine. Instead, the board asked us to host Neighborhood Reading Hour monthly. I agreed with one condition, a new line added to the handbook. They wrote it in plain words. Educational play structures are welcomed when safe, clean, and community building. Even Darla signed. Her pen shook, but the ink stayed. Decades later, I still live at 417 Larkspur Bend. The Playhouse is gone now, would given to a new family. The lantern glows on my desk. Sometimes I touch that napkin map and feel the same heat. Not anger, resolve. The board tried to take her dream and lit a fire that never went out.